І будемо починати ефір.
Окей.
За хвилинку, дякую.
Good afternoon, my name is Ola Tamanova, and I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center Ukraine Forum. It's day 477 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor, and now we will be talking about the situation in Odesa region. Joining us online is Serhii Bratchuk, head of the Public Council with the Odesa Regional Military Administration. Good afternoon, Mr. Serhii. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the armed forces, good afternoon, glory to the heroes. Mr. Serhii, we know that today Odessa honors the memory of those who perished as a result of the last shelling. Let's talk about the consequences of the latest shelling. What do we know today? What is the number of casualties and what is the situation in general? Thank you for reminding. Yes, really today Odessa is mourning those who perished, and we can symbolically commemorate the memory of those who perished heroically because people were at their jobs and they died at their duty post, so to say. So I would appreciate a couple of seconds to symbolically honor their memory.
Дуже вдячний, колеги.
Thank you very much, dear colleagues. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody who is present at this broadcast. You know, it's been the second night in Odessa that the air raid alert signal is sounding, but Odessa ends up under the attacks of the enemy on the night from 13th to 14th of June. You know, for caliber missiles entered our region. According to Oleg Kiber, 3 missiles were shot down by our military. Unfortunately, one missile reached its target and the shockwave damaged a number of buildings. The damage is quite significant, and unfortunately we have to say that during those events on the night 13th to 14th of June, we got 3 casualties and 14 more people were injured. The food storage of a food chain was targeted. 7 people perished there, plus 3 more were injured. In another location there were 4 injured. 6 of those injured are currently hospitalized in Odessa, and 4 of them are in, I could say, critical condition, but the medics work incessantly to make sure that people recuperate. There is the operational headquarters deployed in the city to solve all the problems of those affected by the explosions, and obviously we have to say that the shockwave destroyed a lot of windows in one of the educational institutions of Odessa. Also affected were the shops at that location, and other trading points. And at the food storage facility, the civil object, there was fire which covered the area of around 400 square meters, and there is a destruction on the area of 1000 square meters. I would like to thank all the services, including state emergency service and our military, who were working in close cooperation and who were able to put out the fire quite quickly to avoid bigger destruction and probably bigger casualties. For the time being, this list of damages and casualties is exhaustive today. But continuing the topic of shelling, this night our city was attacked by kamikaze drones, Shaheds, and 11 out of 13 were destroyed by the air defense forces of the Operational Command South, plus 2 more Shaheds. I mean 100% result of our defense forces. 2 more were destroyed by other units of the defense forces of the Operational Command South, which we appreciate all. On behalf of all Odessa, I want to thank them. Regarding the situation with the damaged buildings, the head of the regional military administration and the mayor of the city were at the spot of event. There was examination conducted to understand what are the construction materials necessary for restoration of locations, venues and facilities, and in what amount. The relevant orders were given, and upon final examination the works are about to start, which I'm sure will be fulfilled within the shortest term possible. I would also like to mention that Odessa region this month is severely affected by the enemy strikes. One of our settlements in the recreation zone was targeted on the 9th of June. Dozens of buildings were damaged and hundreds of people were left without their homes in Serhii territorial community. And Oleg Keeper, the head of the region, made a visit on spot to give relevant orders so that people don't end up in the street, so that they get some temporary housing, and that the works on the apartment block in Serhii is being repaired as soon as possible. You remember there was a number of casualties and a lot of injured after that strike on the 9th of June. Also on the agenda, apart from the issues related to terroristic attacks, the management of the government of the region tracks the situation with the water supply, with the sanitary norms. I want to calm everybody down. All the indicators, all the standard indicators are in compliance with the normal indicators. The seawater is also sampled. The water is getting cleaner. Those facts that are being disseminated regarding the situation in the Black Sea, the epidemics of cholera, so no cholera embryos were identified in the water. The situation is under control. The sanitary situation is under control. The government of the region identified 12 medical institutions who will react to those risks that may emerge due to infectious diseases. And in case of necessity, all the healthcare institutions will be engaged in this work. Currently, we're saying that now in the region it's temporarily prohibited to approach the water, to visit the beaches, and moreover to bathe in the sea. That was the situation which resulted from terroristic act of Russian Federation. I mean detonation of Kakhovka HPP dam. Now the fresh water is mixing with the saline, but the situation is under control, and we have some positive developments in this area. Yet another topic: on the very first day after the detonation of the dam of Kakhovka HPP, our military, along with Oleg Keeper, urged all of our citizens of our region, the inhabitants of Odessa, to avoid visiting the shores due to the growth of mine threat You know that the waters of Dnieper washed away yet another line of defense of the enemy, which was mined very densely on the left bank of Dnipro with mines and other explosives, and those explosives currently detonate in the water in Dnipro, and there are certain facts documented by the state bodyguard services. Those explosives are being detonated under the control of the mine technicians, but still in the view of mine hazard, our beaches, the shores are being cleared of mines by the utility services after the military specialists work on demining in certain areas ashore of Odessa. The work was done yesterday, and the utility services are currently working on clearing of the debris and other trash from the shores of Odessa. The people voluntarily, the inhabitants of Odessa, they voluntarily come to the beaches to help the utility services to clear the shores of the trash and other debris. But again, I want to reiterate that it's dangerous. If people want to join those works in a voluntary way, please address the utility services, and I think that there will be enough work for everybody. So this work is being coordinated by the military administrations, including the governments of all the territorial communities. All the regions of Odessa region are currently helping the residents of Kherson region. For example, within the period from 9th to 12th of June, the humanitarian headquarters of Kherson region got almost 300 tons of potable water, 15 tons of food rations, hygienic products, clothing, 49 motor pumps, 22 boats from Odessa region. Our Odessa rescue services also work there in Kherson region with their equipment. Those indicators are about to grow shortly. I'm talking specifically about the motor pumps, which are very necessary in the flooded regions of Kherson, in the flooded areas of Kherson region. And I would also like to touch the topic of heating season. I know it's the first month of the summer, but still today the regional military administration already report that the preparatory works for heating season are underway, and now we may state that 30% of the necessary communication systems are ready for the new heating season. So this is in brief about those main areas of work of the regional military administration, volunteers, civil organizations, local governments of the communities and the districts who jointly work in our region. Mr. Serhii, thank you very much for this holistic report. I would like to touch upon another thing, is the operation of the grain corridor. What's the situation with it for the time being? What is the situation in the ports? I can tell you shortly that it has not changed cardinally. We see that Russian Federation continues blocking the operation of the grain corridor. There are no such volumes that we used to export even in January this year. For the time being, the information is being prepared for the latest period, and I think that the relevant departments will pronounce the situation. It's quite complicated, but for what I know, this information is available. The military command and the top level government of the countries takes all necessary efforts to make this grain initiative work. It's extremely important for Ukraine, but it's also important for the world as well. This is what we're trying to communicate to the world. The fact that Odessa and Ukraine will be with our bread even under conditions this difficult, even after the detonation of Kakhovka HPP dam. It goes without saying, we will have bread, and Odessa region will give its shoulder to the agrarian sector, specifically this year, but we would like this grain initiative to take momentum and to develop certain pace that was existing at least in the beginning of this year. Mr. Serhii, in average, can you give us some figures? What is the number of ships coming and leaving the port of Odessa? Well, it depends on the way that inspection team of Russian Federation works. It's like 1, 2, or 3 ships, so we're not even talking dozens here. There's a lot of ships in the queue to get loaded, but you know that the Russians are very meticulous, so to say, in the treatment of operation of the port of Pivdeni. So again, it's just a couple of ships and not even every day. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. If we have questions on the floor, please go ahead. Good afternoon, Irina Mamchur, Ukrinform. I have 2 questions regarding the missile strike yesterday. Do we have the figures, I mean the number of apartments that were destroyed in that apartment block completely, and what is their condition? Are they recoverable? Are they repairable? Or we are talking about only financial compensation here? Well, I can tell you about the business center that was damaged by the shockwave. Yesterday there was a report by the military governor of the regional keeper that the issue of the further operation of this business center will be reviewed because the specialists have certain concerns about its further normal operation. But regarding your question about the number of apartments, the examination is about to be over shortly, and it will be announced in the finalized report what was the number of apartments that were destroyed, because you know, the shockwave, it reached even the central entrance of the Odessa cinema studio, so you understand the scale of this damage. We are talking about the educational institution, Odessa Polytechnic Institute. It was affected too. I cannot give you the exact number, but almost all the windows were blown out, so we will report separately about that. So currently we don't understand whether that business center will be repaired and reconstructed or it's impossible. Still we don't know. Well, it will be subject to the specialist finalized report, and everybody will rely on their word, so to say, there. Oh, can you please tell us what is the condition of the people who were affected by this missile strike? There are still 6 people hospitalized, including 4 in critical condition. This is what the medics say. But I hope the people are about to recuperate. At least all the necessary efforts are taken for this. Thank you. Another question is about the situation with the Kherson, Kakhovka HPP dam detonation. I know that there is a lot of people coming to Odessa. Are they provided with all their basic needs? Are those people going to stay in Odessa and Odessa region, or are they going to go back to Kherson region? And if they stay in Odessa, will they be provided with some housing where they stay? Well, as of yesterday, I can tell you that more than 400 people from Kherson region were evacuated to Odessa and to Odessa region. I have to say that almost 5,000 spots are available to accept the evacuated inhabitants of Kherson region, the West Bank, and those who made it from the occupied East Bank. The hostels are currently operating. They are allocated for billeting of the internally displaced persons. Obviously all those services are free, and they are for the people who need this. Obviously those who have their relatives in the region, they come to their relatives' homes, but all types of help are being provided by Odessa region. There are no single problems about that. No matter how difficult it is, Odessa was always kind and always helped those in need. So again, more than 4,000 spots in the region are available for people coming from Kherson region. So do the people keep coming, or these, or is it over? I cannot give you the exact number for today, but since the detonation, more than 400 people have come. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Serhii. Thank you for joining our broadcast. I'm reminding you, dear colleagues, joining us was Serhii Bratchuk, the head of Public Council with the Odessa Regional Military Administration. Our next broadcast will be at 1500. We will talk about the operation of our air defense forces. Joining us will be the spokesperson of the Air Force Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Yuri Ignat. So stay tuned, work together for our victory, and glory to Ukraine.